Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. We are rolling along on a pretty big Wednesday night slate here. In this one, we are taking a look at the Memphis Grizzlies headed to New York to take on the Knicks in the Garden. Nate does have his great article up on playpicks.com with some best bets and player props in there for you. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Got those other couple of videos up for you today, including that player props video. 7-2 start to the week this week, so looking to stay hot there. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, the Grizzlies open at -2.5 here as they head to the Garden, coming off that overtime loss in Philadelphia Monday. It's been bet up now to -4. It's probably going to keep rising. And the total is rising a little bit too to 219 here as people back the Grizzlies offense, which is quite impressive. And in that overtime game, they got to 241 with the Joel Embiid-less Sixers. So something to monitor there. We got 8 other games on the slate tonight. It opens with the Magic now +3.5 at Indiana. That's going to be the other game we break down today. And I know it's not exactly for clicks, moving the needle there, but it's as Josh always says, I want winners. So we're picking a winner in that one. You'll have to tune in to see why we like that game. Wizards are +10 at the Sixers. No word on Joel Embiid yet. The Hornets are +5 at the Celtics. The Cavs -4.5 at Houston. No Darius Garland there. So interesting to see if the Cavs can pull that one out. The Thunder are +12 at the Mavericks. Nuggets +3 at Jazz after getting blasted in Minnesota last night. Nets are -4 in a back-to-back situation at Sacramento. We'll see if James Harden suits up on back-to-back nights. And then the Blazers are +4 at the Lakers, who are expected to be without LeBron again tonight. The Grizz, I don't understand why they would open at such a small spread. We talked about hammering them against Philly before we knew Embiid was out on Monday, and it actually kind of worked in that kind of reverse direction. Stars out, bets up. As soon as I knew Embiid was out, and the spread starts swinging the other way, I kind of think, if I'm going to bet anything now, it's on Philly because that's the way the NBA works during the regular season. It fires guys up when your MVP's out and you're supposed to lose against another contender. And sure enough, Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey had 2 of their best games of the season to carry Philly. Look, the Knicks have no such motivation. They've lost 6 of their last 8. They have only beaten a Kings team that is dead last in defense over their last couple weeks and was without De'Aaron Fox, a Clippers team that can't score. We know the drill with Memphis. They're the best team against the spread in the league, covered in 5 of their last 8 on the road. Still, they're 14-3 straight up against teams with losing records. That's key here. Of course, they handle business against bad teams. The last time they went to the Garden in April of last season, gave up 133. The Knicks needed a triple-double from Julius Randle. They needed 20 points each, basically, from Quickly, Burks, and Derrick Rose off the bench. They're not getting any sort of production like that now. Their offense is absolutely dreadful, and they don't have Derrick Rose, which is resulted in that plummet defensively. I really like Desmond Bane in this game because the Knicks pack the paint so much and force you to beat them from the perimeter. We'll talk about him in player props a little bit, but his home road splits are insane. He actually has a 128 offensive rating on the road versus 104 at home. He shoots 50% from 3 on the road. He's coming off a career high 34 points in Philly. Between him and Ja and the talented wings, Jaren Jackson Jr., Zaire Williams, they're just playing so well right now. I see no reason not to ride with the Grizzlies. If you want to tease it down to a pick 'em and go with a different game tonight, I would do that. I'm not really going to touch a total with these Knicks right now. I certainly don't trust them to keep their end of the bargain and go over. And I'm not going to trust that they can stop Memphis enough to keep this game under, because Ja Morant has just been unstoppable recently. That's a big reason why Memphis is so good on the road. They've covered in 13 of their last 17 overall. And the key one you have in here, 4-0 against the spread following a loss, their last 4 losses. That's the kind of trend I think we'll see tonight.
Yeah, I think so. Starting with, first of all, that Philly game, man. Yeah, I think another part of it is it's almost like an NFL team that's preparing for one quarterback all the way up until Sunday. And then that quarterback scratches. And all of a sudden you're playing Brian Hoyer and you weren't expecting that. And then Brian Hoyer beats you. And I think it's similar to what happened to Memphis the other night, to be honest. And like you said, Tyrese Maxey goes off, as we called him player props that he would once and beats that. Tobias Harris went off as well. And he has one of those games every 3 or 4 this season. But at any rate, yeah, Memphis losing that game wasn't something that I would hold against them. The thing that, we're looking at tonight, why it could have been 2 points as a starting point. Obviously, Memphis on a road trip, just playing and losing to Philly, and that being a sour taste in the casual fan's mouth. But I still think, obviously, everything points towards the Grizzlies on the road, covering in 14 of their last 18 road games, and then what they do against teams under 500 as well, just, crushing them as well, taking care of business against all those teams, 14 and 3 straight up against teams under 500. And I definitely consider the Knicks a team under 500, as opposed to some of these other, middling teams like the Hawks, who are like, they're better than 500. I think the Knicks are what they are. They're shooting a ton of their points off 3. And this is where the over, I think, could hit because of the fact that Memphis' 3-point defense is so bad. They give up a ton of 3-point pointers on the road, especially, on the road this season, 3rd worst opponent 3-point percentage in terms of, the other teams shooting the highest percentage from 3. They're also really bad at rebounding right now on the road in their last 8, 3rd worst rebound percentage. The Knicks at home, best rebound percentage in the league in their recent home stands. In their last 8, 2 and 6 straight up are the Knicks, as we talk about, because that offensive grading is so bad. But you see them have spurts here and there in a half where they'll drop 62 points because guys like Alec Burks and Evan Fournier have been pretty hot lately. And, Fournier has been a guy that you got to bring up. He scored, at least 16 points in his last 5 against the Grizzlies. He's got some pretty good numbers too, scoring at least 16 in 7 of his last 8 appearances against them. There's some things to look at for some of these guys on both sides. To be honest, I think we're done with the Julius Randle stuff right now. And I think that's a huge reason for why we don't feel any confidence in picking a Knicks team to win. Moving back towards talking about the spread specifically, Jay Randall, in that 8-game 2 and 6 stretch right now for the Knicks, just 15 points, 8 boards, and 5 assists, shooting 40% from the field, 26% from the line, from 3, only getting to the line about 4 times a game and shooting 75% from there. So he's not filling up those stats anywhere. He's not playmaking, and it seems as though he's obviously been figured out. Keep him on the right side on the wing, and then bring a second defender to him, and there's really not much that he can do. And I think that's obviously the strategy Memphis can employ tonight. Steven Adams is a game time decision, but guys like Xavier Tillman and others jumping in that are very versatile and big. Dylan. I can't remember his name. There's so many D's on this team. Brandon Clark. Jesus, I always mix him up with Dylan Brooks. Brandon Clark in there as well. When he's back as well, it's interesting. I mean, he's been getting about 22 minutes a game and actually helping their defense a ton. Their defensive rating with him on the floor is much better than when he's off because of that versatility. And I think that's that'll be helpful against guys like Jay Randall tonight. There's going to be plenty of big, versatile defenders, not the sort of flat-footed guys like Steven Adams as much tonight. And so, yeah, I think all of this to me just spells feel really good about Memphis winning. If you like the over, I mean, the Knicks have gone over in 5 of their last 7, and they seem to do that at home as well at a pretty decent clip. So, I'm not too scared of that over as it sits right now at about 218.5 or so, right? So, that's something where I think you could see them climb over that because of the fact that the Knicks could get hot from 3, and I do think that they're just going to get run up and down on by these Grizzlies tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the under is actually hitting 10 of the last 14 home games for the Knicks. I mean, they have gotten over some really low totals lately with some games on the road, but 218 now bet up to 219. I don't see this as a low enough total that I would be willing to take an over with the Knicks involved by any means. But it is interesting that they seem to thrive on extra rest, the Knicks do. And they're on normal rest here. They're 11 and 22 against the spread on that normal rest. And Memphis is almost exactly the opposite, 21 and 10 against the spread when they're on just that normal rest situation. That's a good indicator at this point in the season of how consistent a team is going to be. Look, I don't see any real quality wins for the Knicks. going back a while. I mean, at Atlanta, sure, they've had their number a little bit. They beat Atlanta when they were super shorthanded on Christmas. They had that miraculous comeback against the Celtics. That was at home. But really, when they play good teams since mid-November, they have not stood much of a chance. They've maybe been able to keep it close at home, but Memphis defensively, like you said, so switchable, so good down the stretch. They're locked in to a different degree. And I think that loss at Philly is only going to sharpen their focus, really, as they try to get one more win here. On this road trip, they actually, in 3 nights, they go to Orlando to close out the road trip. So it's not like there's much else on the horizon for them to worry about. They're going to the Garden to get this win. And the fact that Bane is so good on the road, that Ja is so good on the road, that these guys love the spotlight, for me, counteracts any concerns that the Knicks tend to play a little bit better at home. They tend to defend their home court, and they're going to bring it against a team that's one of the tops in the West. So motivation aside, it's really pretty simple to me. If I was doing power rankings right now, Memphis would be maybe 4 or 5 in the league, and the Knicks would be about 22, 23, something like that. So a 4-point spread, regardless of venue, is just too small for me not to jump on the Grizzlies.
Yeah, 100%. I'm following you there. I mean, the Grizzlies against teams with a losing record. We mentioned what they do. I mean, they've won their last 8 against them. I mentioned 14-3 on the season. And then you mentioned how well they play on road games and following a loss. Cover the spread in the last 7 games on the road after a loss as well. So yeah, they're bringing it no matter where they are, when they are this season, and really like them to recover after a loss to Philly that I'm sure they're still beating themselves up over, despite the fact that they got just worked by a couple guys who just went off that day. So at any rate, that is all the time that we have for you in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page, and check out those other couple videos we have for you today, including that player props video looking to stay super hot with. And until we see you next, happy betting.